Hey everyone, this is Elisa and welcome to another wonderful episode of the Startup Celebrity Show. And I am the founder of the thriving Facebook group, The Spiritual Entrepreneurs, where we are hosting more than 17,000 members from around the world, and the founder of the Spiritual School of Money. And today we have LaDawn with us. She's also one of our precious members. And I think we met through Instagram.
Yeah, we did.
We met through it. So see, you got to be omnipresent. Much as I love Facebook, but you can't be too naive to think that one social media it's good enough.
Right.
So you got to put yourself around the globe and be omnipresent. So anyway, without further ado, I actually want to introduce LaDawn and let her talk to you. So who is LaDawn? LaDawn is an executive coach and business strategist for the bold women entrepreneur that wants to stop being a CEO by night while working in corporate America by day. She brings to her clients strategic passion wrapped in her transformational coaching. Wow, I love that. CEO by night, aren't we all, especially if we are moms? Right?
Yeah.
So without further ado, let me warmly welcome LaDawn. Hey,
Hi. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I have to tell you that you have one of the best backdrops by far. I love the backdrops. Don't you think so? It's so Instagrammy. Well, this is something. See, I'm not good at this visual thing. I'm a visionary. Like, I can see big pictures, but little details like this, honestly, I suck at it, right? Like,
oh my gosh. It took me a few tries. Like, I was on Pinterest and Instagram and at my local stores and just trying to find my feel. And that's actually a part of my story of being in business. This is a testament to me sort of shedding my old corporate America suit and really finding who I am. So thank you for that.
I mean, it's my dream to have this, but see, I mean, I am a self-declared pretty messy person. If it's too neat, I can't work. I know it's just one of those. I'm OCD, but in terms of cleanliness, I am. But in terms of I'm not really. So kudos to you on that.
No, it's okay. I won't pan the camera and show you the rest of my house. So right here, we're doing good. But that's what we do as entrepreneurs, like just in this zone right here, what I'm focusing on, let's just get that done.
I know. Tell me about it. Especially when you have kids, it's hard to have this Instagram looking thing, you try to make it neat and the kids will come in and trash it off. So it goes back to your CEO by night. So by night, everything is Instagram, Pinterest look, right? And then by day, it's another thing.
Well, I came up with that term because, like many people, a little bit of my story. So I worked in corporate America for over 20 years, and it flew by. And when people tell me that, they're normally like, "How old are you?" So
you're
thank
still 25, right?
I'm still 25. And so I remember coming out of high school and I got promoted up the career ladder really quickly. So I was trying to do college full time and trying to do work, and I was making good money. So I didn't have a degree yet. And I just made a bold decision to go up the career path and not to finish college. And so that worked out in my favor. I quickly became in positions of really being a fixer, where if the customers weren't happy or the company wasn't profitable, I was sort of thrown into the pot to fix it. And so before I knew it, the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed by. And I started to ask myself a few years ago, like, what do I want to do? I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I had played at being an entrepreneur for so long, right? Like on the weekends, you get so excited and then you do nothing during the week but just work and then go out with your friends and complain. So about 18 months ago, I remember just making a bold decision that I no longer wanted to live that. And I had a very good job. I was an executive working in the banking industry. I worked from home. My managers were so nice. I mean, they were the kind of managers that would ask you on a Friday, do you want to just go home half day? Like, what, do you have anything to do? Like, it was such a good place. I was very blessed with that.
Why would you want to leave then, right? I mean, it's like such a dream job, isn't it?
Yes, I worked from home. So I remember when I got the job, I was at this bridge in my life where I needed a change. So my life was really just church and work and like the market and then like a little bit of fun and then family. I mean, I didn't really have a life, and I loved the people in my life, but I knew there was something bigger for me. And so shortly after that, I was blessed with this job. I was living in California at the time. I'm a Southern California girl. And so my boss didn't care if I moved around the country. They wouldn't pay for it. So there were different states I wanted to live in, and I did it. I would go to new cities. I didn't know a soul and just explore. And so that really started getting my dreaming going again, where I forgot I didn't dream anymore. And so about 18 months ago, I remember making a decision that I didn't know how it was going to happen. I wanted to have my own business, really to be able to help people, but to have my own freedom. Even though I worked from home, and it was great. Like if I needed to go to the market during the day, or, you know, be in your PJs in the morning or drink, I mean, you had that flexibility, but I was still working for someone else. And very shortly thereafter, I remember one morning hearing a news interview of a woman who had been laid off from her job. She was an executive like me. She had a few months severance and she started her own business. And I remember praying and saying, if I had that opportunity, God, I would not waste it. And within 48 hours, I got a call, the call that nobody wants to get from my managers, that they were just laid off and they had to lay off our entire team.
Does that include you?
It included me. So I remember in that moment, people asked me, were you upset? Did you curse people out? I just knew that that was my moment. And so I was so excited. Here I was, this executive that made companies lots of money and happy customers. And I thought I just knew it, right? Like opening a business and doing this online thing is so easy. And at the time, I actually had started off doing...
oh my gosh, just thinking, I wondered if your bosses were to hear this. They must be thinking, why did you make that intention? The entire team got laid off.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because I had started, you know, I've shared some of this story with my ex-coworkers, and the reason I'm really passionate about sharing this because people don't want to talk about divorce, death, or money, right? And so I had got very passionate a few years before about debt and what that meant and what my own money story was. And I remember around that time that I knew I had to change my life, I actually started getting healthy. I became a health coach because I was tired of people just telling me, not really educating me. So at the time of my layoff, I was working with a network marketing company and doing some health coaching. But still, I knew that wasn't my full passion. I was successful at it. I had lost 100 pounds and, you know, got off of a lot of medications, but I knew there was something more. And so the layoff happened and I didn't skip a beat. I remember like that next day I was out networking. Like I just knew that this was my path. And the next year I went through what I call the self-proclaimed school of everything you shouldn't do as an entrepreneur. All of the wasting of time, like tweaking your website till 2 a.m. and you don't even know your message, or
bright and shiny object syndrome.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I was out networking like 6 days a week, like all of these groups, spending hundreds of dollars a week. And I just felt like I wasn't going anywhere. And so it really was a year of me stepping back and looking to see what went on and then making a wise decision to get serious about my business, just like my job. If you go to a new job, you have 90 days of training or they don't expect you to perform out the gate. But I was giving myself that expectation that immediate month I would earn my executive income. Not to say that it can't happen, but I think as entrepreneurs, when we really want to make this a stable, solid business, you have to look at it like a business and have the heart and have the mindset and have the upper limit thinking to know that all things are possible. But you also have to bring in the strategic part of it to make it a solid business.
So I want to bring you back down to memory lane for a while. You said you graduated from high school and then you just entered the job industry, the job world, the corporate America world without a degree. So you actually like, it's like backwards. Everybody, you know, get a degree and, you know, this and that. So it's like, what is your thought about education then? Because everybody is obsessed with the paper qualification. I mean, not just America. I mean, in Asia, it's a huge thing. And now it's like now we're stepping away from the information. No, is it information? The education era, information era. Now we're going to digital era. And so a lot of us, this this age group, whatever that age is stuck in between.
Right.
And our parents is obviously at that still stuck there because they are still telling our kids that you need to have a job, you need to have, go to you need to be a graduate, blah blah blah. And then here we are as modern parents, like so our kids are probably stuck, right? But the millennials, they're in another zone. So what would you say to people who are really obsessed with that paper qualification? Is that so important to your opinion?
So I like to talk to two groups, I think. I think you have those that are in their 20s, they're in college, they may have just graduated, and they're trying to figure out their future. And they've looked at people like us, like myself, I'll be 40 in August. They've looked at their grandparents, and they've seen us work really, really hard to have this American life, this American dream. And I love what Susie Orman started doing a few years ago of really talking about what the American dream is. That the American dream isn't always the home and having, everything so stable. It's really, what does it mean to you? And I think the millennials are tuning in more to what their intuition and what their heart is telling them. And then you have the groups that are my age, right? That 20 years flew by and, all of a sudden I'm knocking on 40, which I'm totally happy about. Like, I am not spazzing about that. Like, I'm really happy about turning 40. Single, no kids. I'm okay with this journey in my life. But you have those of us that are either single or we have families. And then we wake up one day to realize, am I really happy fully with my life? And I think both groups are asking the question of how do I advance my life? How do I make more income to really have the life I want? Because at the end of the day, it's about bringing security to our families. And we know that with our faith, like I love your Facebook group with the spiritual entrepreneurs, because we understand that it's a spiritual thing, that the gifts that we have, right? We're not saying that God's not going to provide that, but you do have responsibility of using the tools he gave you to feed yourself. Right. So I think with both groups that we have to really look at what is our unique calling. I knew for me, I was such a go-getter in high school. I graduated high school with like more than enough credits I needed. I didn't even really have to show up full time my senior year because all I knew, my parents were entrepreneurs. They never worked for anyone. But in my mindset, I just thought in order to really have the lifestyle I want, I had to go to school because there was some fear of, could I really be an entrepreneur? And so you have to get really clear as to what is your unique calling. My pastor one time told me, he says, sometimes people will be given the instructions of what to do with their life. Like, I've traveled around the United States and moved all over and met new people and have experiences, and people are a little bit in awe of that sometime. And now I'm getting ready to travel abroad. But you have the instructions that you're given. We just don't listen to it because of the fear, because of what will other people think. Because I've been taught that you go to school and you get a good education and you get the degree and then you get a good job and then you have the good job so that way you can pay the mortgage. When you really think about what the American lifestyle, or just globally, right, what our lifestyle is based on, are we working in order to live the life we want, or do we live to work? Because at the end of the day, you're just paying the bills. And so you have to
it's really interesting. I'm sorry to cut in, because your parents are entrepreneurs for as long as you can remember, but yet you took on the belief system of you got to go to school and then get good grades and then you go the other way. How did that happen for you, even though you had that right entrepreneur environment for you?
I think because I'm naturally an analytical person, I would look at everything you have to do in order to gain the experience to do it. And that held me back for a long time. For me, that moment of deciding to continue with corporate America, I remember for years, I would help people set up businesses. I would coach people in my community for free. In my mind, I would say this is me gaining experience, sort of like getting the degree, but it really was a self-worth issue. And because the more you go up in the ladder, the bigger the paychecks get. And then you realize, even if you are making 6 figures a year, I don't know about other countries, but in California and Los Angeles, that's really not a lot. I mean, for a family, when you think about taxes and everything you have. So for me, it was a self-worth issue. And that self-worth issue held me back from my calling until that day, 18 months ago, where I was let go. And I remember just knowing that this was my path. And even throughout the following year where I didn't get things right and I had to just sort of pull myself up again, it was still a part of the plan because now I can come back to women in corporate America to say, one of the biggest things that happened for me when I was let go, I talked with people that were in similar positions, inside, outside, just in the community, networking events. And the number one thing I would hear from people that you would think would be in sort of not the 2%, but they're well off, they're comfortable, that they are scared to death to lose their job. Because what we have today, we have people that have the degree, let's say, and they're in upper positions, but they can't afford to retire because we're overextended in our debt. And I'll say we because it's a global thing that happens until we really grab hold of that. So they're stuck in that position. So then you have the middle level people like myself who can't move up because there's none of the positions. And then you have the millennials who got the good paper and went into the workforce that have degrees that they can't pay the student loans, and they're making something to where people who don't have a degree are making the same. So the system is off balance because we as a people haven't really zoned in on what exactly is my calling, not with my mom, not with my friend, not with my aunt. That's one of the things that just really gets me is when we sort of copy everyone else instead of just being ourselves. God made us uniquely us. He gave us one fingerprint. I love the story of fingerprints. No one's fingerprint is out there but yours. But then we have this life that we've been given, and we decide to copy everyone else because we're afraid to break the mold, because we're afraid of what people think. I could care less what people think, because at the end of the day, when my eyes are closed and the job is done and I see my Lord, I'm going to know that I had that one life. I don't want to have any regrets. I know that I had a calling here. And I think those are people are missing out on. So to go back to your question about the piece of paper, I think it really matters on what's your calling. What do you want to do? I knew as an 18, 19-year-old sitting in classes at night after working, I was like, this is not for me. I do not see it because people were telling me you go to college to earn good money. And
but it's interesting, right, LaDawn, because you didn't have a college degree, but yet you did get promoted to an executive level and did make six figures, right? Yeah. So it's like everything is off the charts right now. I mean, if you are watching this and if you are thinking you got to get a college degree, and look at her, I mean, she didn't get a college degree, but eventually she got there. I mean, even if you have a college degree, you don't start at the manager level anyway, right?
Right. You still have to have a balance of, I think because my parents were entrepreneurs and I was around that for so long, and I was reading about mindset before I knew mindset was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. I just knew I didn't want to copy everyone else. I knew that I was in this work environment, that if I made friends, that was great, but everyone is here because we're getting a paycheck. And this boss just wants our best. So I'm going to go in and honor that job, give them my best, learn whatever skills, because I knew I would always be an entrepreneur. So I would look at the lessons in everything, whether it was how did we treat the customers? I wouldn't really want to treat my customers that way. Is there a lesson in that? You really have to open your eyes and you have to steer clear of the drama, because there's drama outside the workplace. There's drama inside the workplace. And when you think about the people that you surround yourself, like the 5 people, I remember someone in my early 20s telling me that. And I looked at those 5 people and I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not going to get me to where I want to go. And so I made those decisions to be serious about my career, to learn a lesson and to really stand in my own and to really be unique. And that's one of the things I like to talk to people about is you have to be unique. Whether you're just realizing it at 40 or whether you're 20 and you're the oddball because you're unique and you're going your own path, it's okay. Because if I didn't listen to that, I wouldn't be equipped to start my business today.
So I have a question about these 5 people, right? I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, it's easy to just go look for networking groups and just go choose the 5 people you want to hang out with. But what if you are still in corporate America or you are in a corporate job, right? And then your colleagues are same old every day, right? So how do you search for these 5 people to hang out with while you're in corporate America or in a corporate job, transiting to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so that's really difficult, right? Because you're at a job, you want to respect the job. You can't pass out your business card without the job. So one of the things I really did is I would look, if you're in most corporations, they still have them now. I would look for any type of mentor group or leadership or education. I would take any free course they had, whether it was on computer skills, I didn't care what it was, because in that, could I build relationships with the instructor or with someone there? Because I believe that if you are determined to change your life, it's not that one day you'll be the woman, you're already the woman now. And in my case, I had a lot of people, I call them sort of my messenger angels, that would see things in me when I didn't see it. But I would just show up. I would show up hungry for an opportunity. I would show up wanting to learn, wanting to advance. I remember they would offer free classes and like nobody would sign up. And I was like, well, let's go. Let's go find out what it is. Because I was hungry for knowledge. I didn't know exactly that would always connect to entrepreneurship. I just knew that this couldn't be everything that you're supposed to live. And I think we have some people in the world that are completely awake to the fact that this is not all. Like the 9 to 5, the cubicle, they know that's not it. And then once you know, you have a group of people who are actively hungry, trying to look for opportunities, moving forward, and they're taking action, even if it's small steps every day. And then those that are just going to stay stuck in the fear, they see it and they're just not going to do anything with it. So the group that's hungry and taking action, you have to look for opportunities around you. You don't have to tell people that you're starting your own business, but the leadership skills that you need to have on your job will help you in your business. One thing I share with people is, look at your annual review from your boss, whether you like the boss or not, right? It's feedback on your performance. And take that, even if you have a bad relationship with the boss, find someone in your organization that you can ask questions to. Ask and be vulnerable. We don't have that nowadays in entrepreneurship or in corporate America, where people are willing to go to a leader and say, I really like being here and I want to be able to grow with the company. And you know me, you may not know me, but could you give me some honest feedback on what you think of my performance? And I promise I will take it 100%, no hard feelings. Give that person permission that you're not going to give them attitude for seeing, because regardless of what you think about that leader, they made it to that position somehow. And so what can you learn from them? Even if they're a witch, what can you learn from them, right? So they may have a bad attitude. So when you're in that position, you won't have that bad attitude, but what can you learn from it? I think that if people just go along every day, just clocking in and clocking out, you're not going to learn any lesson. And if you're watching this video series, you're clearly someone that has a calling that has lit a fire and you're just trying to figure out where's your tribe, where do you connect with? And so this is for you. It's sort of like, I like to call it like, I loved Wonder Woman growing up, just loved Wonder Woman. Like she was regular woman by day and then she'd flip out her cape, right? And so pretend that you're that on the job. You know that this is not your end all. You know that there's something greater for you. So don't be so commentary with everything in the office. Learn what you can and then take action to implement in your business. Because once you get serious about your business, when you go into work, your eyes are open to say, I have a different place to go to. Like this is temporary, whether that temporary is 6 months, a year, 18 months, whatever. Because I think we need to be wise before we step out of corporate America. What can you learn in that? Because trust me, if you cannot deal with the drama or what you think that environment is, you're not ready to be an entrepreneur. Because when you're the boss and that happens, you can't turn to someone else to go handle it. You have to handle it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I so agree. I mean, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you are on a job complaining, then you probably will be complaining about customers because they will be crazy customers. And the fact that because you are in that energy, you will attract crazy customers.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you are not in that vibe, then you will not be attracting these customers as much. And then what are you going to do with them? Bitch at them? They can't because they're paying you money, right? So of course you have a right to deny them, but that's not the fact, because if you run a business, then you don't want to have all these crazy customers all the time. So I love the fact that you said, while you're at the job, take personal responsibility. I mean, as an entrepreneur, we have to do that all the time. We got to learn, we got to grow, we got to constantly learn, right? So these are basic blocks in your business, how you build yourself up, character building. Right, while you are at a job and you are paid, so why not? So it's all about perception shifting. It's like if you are an entrepreneur, everything is self-paid. You pay for yourself, right?
Oh yeah.
Now that you have a job and somebody's paid for you, why not take that bonus? It's like, it's an abundance. God gave you this abundance. Abundance doesn't mean that, a bag of money just dropped in front of you. These are small little abundance. As long as money you don't have to spend, that's a bonus. That's an abundance.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
why not take advantage of that? Somebody's paying for you to learn something. Go grab it. For us right now, we gotta take money out of our own pocket. So have that mindset shift, and you will actually be more grateful to your job. And yes, going up to, even for us, right? I mean, right now we don't have a boss, but our clients give us feedback, right? Yep. And so we got to take it with a pinch of salt. And, now being visible, your tribe will give you feedback.
Yeah,
exactly. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? Like, what, write them off? But with now start the practice and start the feeling and start opening up to your boss, because it's going to be the same thing with your tribe giving you feedback or your clients giving you feedback. What are you going to do? Fight the client?
Exactly. Can I add one thing to that too? I loved how you said that. So the job, right? I understand what it's like to be on a job, but you really want to break out. And that's why I say, if you're a full-time employee by day and a CEO by night, because that's a totally different hustle. And I mean hustle in the best sense, not in the totally exhausted sense. But you look at your job. I remember hearing Lisa Nichols say that she knew she wanted to become a full-time entrepreneur. So for 2 years, she saved up her money. She downsized from her home. She went into a 1-bedroom apartment with her son, and she set aside a certain amount. And once it hit that amount that she knew she could be good for 2 years, she quit.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times we look at the job like, this job, right? Your job is an investor in your business. The question
I'm having the chills. It's like so true. People need to hear this, because people have this very unrealistic idea about having a business, because your business requires money to fund.
All the time. And so here's what I love to work with my clients on is, if you are in a full-time job, yay, wonderful. If you want to leave it, trust me, 6 months, a year will fly by. The first thing you want to look at, if I can leave anyone with a tip, is look at what is your monthly expenses, like your solid, what I must pay every month to eat and have a roof over my head, right? And then what is all the other stuff that I'm wasting money on? Because when people say they don't have money to invest in a business, you have to look at all the other stuff, right? And when you look at all the other stuff, is that something that you can reduce? Do you want to downsize? How bad do you want your dream? I was in California, laid off, didn't know exactly where I was going to be. I ended up moving to Austin, Texas last year because I knew that there could be some changes, lower over costs. I can invest more in my business. There's contract work. I just got creative, because you're an entrepreneur. And so by doing that, there was the room to invest in my business.
Right.
And so you have to ask yourself that. So don't hate on the job. Look at it as an investor, because that investor, that tough day on the job, you just say, okay, today I paid an extra interest payment because I had to deal with Susie, and Susie just drives me nuts, or my boss gave me an extra assignment. If you know that that's not where you're going to be forever, then don't talk about it. Don't complain about it. Just keep moving forward with it. But the job is the best investor you'll have. Not everybody can get loans. Not everybody can have credit cards. Not everybody has a trust fund. Some of it is, okay, what can I do? Let's cut off the cable of $300 a month to $100 a month. And now I have $200 a month. I can go do something. I can get a book. I can enroll in a program. I can go somewhere. When you think about being an entrepreneur, yes, you see the beautiful part on the outside, but there's work. It's work like everyone else, and you can do it, but you got to be smart about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the first couple of years, I did not buy any clothes. I did not buy any shoes. I would just browse, but I would rather spend the money and reinvest it in my business. And when I have a little bit of a profit, then I invest in myself, So we all go through that stage. That temporary sacrifice is, I don't think anybody likes the word sacrifice, but temporary pain, it's going to lead you in a long way. I mean, we spend money, like what you said, what are you spending money unnecessarily on? Maybe that's Starbucks, then, every Starbucks could be $2-3, but if your habit is to drink 3 cups a day and times 7, that's how much. That's, I don't know, $50. $50 you could hire a VA, for a couple of hours to do work on your business. So, I mean, will you die without caffeine? No, you won't. But with that $50 reinvested in your business, you could have you could bathe in caffeine all day long in the future,
Right.
So it's really changing of the habits, and the change of the habits is pain.
Yeah.
But again, its habit is created by what do you call this? Continuous action, and it creates the habit. So, and if you break the cycle, then you realize actually I don't need it. It's just a habit. Like I am working on breaking on caffeine. The first few days was like, it's a habit because I realized I don't need caffeine. It's just a habit. Like I wake up, I only drink it right now if I check in with my body. Do you really want it? And okay, I'll drink it. So I don't have caffeine every day. So it's really habit. It's really a habit. And to be a successful entrepreneur, it's all about successful habits.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And it's about doing what you have to do when no one's looking. That's what it's about. It's about continuing on when no one likes your Facebook post or no one's signing up for your newsletter. It's about just moving forward. KFC, the gentleman that started KFC, was in his 60s when he finally got it. He went through, I don't know how many restaurants that told him no. And you can Google all the stories about famous people who didn't hit it in the 20s. They hit it in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. They kept moving forward. And I think that's a disconnect in our community with entrepreneurs, is that we think because social media is out there and we see it, yes, there's one thing to see it and there's another thing to be consistently to bring it in. I just wanted to give some hope to people that are in that. And, those that are like me that may have been downsized, there is hope on the other side of it. The thing is, you have to be prepared. When it happened to me, I was mentally prepared because I knew that's not where I was supposed to be forever, even though it was a great job. So I was ready for the transition. And it was tough the first year. I had to figure out who I was outside of a title and without having that consecutive paycheck. I mean, it's a little bit of a mind trip, but when you know that you're made to do more and you have a calling, then you get over it. And if for those people who think, well, that won't happen to me, I've heard it all. I've heard I have a degree. I've been with the company 20 years. I know people who've been with the companies close to 30 years and they were still let go. So it can happen to anyone. And that is why you have to prepare yourself for impact, is what I call it. It's actually a part of a new program I'm starting. Is really, if you want to stay working forever, that's beautiful. But nowadays, people don't work 20, 30 years and are comfortably able to retire. That just doesn't happen. They go back to work, they get a part-time job, they get a network marketing gig. So whatever you want to do, I don't care if you want to make widgets, really look at the stability of your financial household and can you survive? Because most people are one paycheck away from not having a mortgage, from losing their home, from having arguments, from being in divorce. That is what being laid off taught me. And even though I wouldn't wish it on anyone, I'm so glad I went through it because it gave me the passion I have for my business today.
So grateful that you went through it so that other people don't have to go through it.
Oh my gosh.
So what can you teach people about really the practical side? To be honest, I think if you're laid off, I think at some part in your unconscious mind, you actually don't like your job. So law of attraction, like attracts like. But sometimes it's so quick, like yours 48 hours. Sometimes the hit can be so quick, you're not even prepared. But I don't think God is going to give you something that you cannot handle. Yeah. So like what LaDawn said, if you are let go, this is what I say. I think at some part of your mind, you actually don't like it. So do you have any practical steps for people? Like maybe a 3-step, like if they are suddenly hit within the next 48 hours, you're going to be gone. Yeah. So what can they do should that happen to them, like right now, so that they don't like try to go into this vicious,
like a downward spiral. Yeah. So here's the first thing I would do the minute you have 8 a.m. wherever you are. I would call your credit card companies, your loan, your mortgage, everyone, and I would ask them about involuntary insurance. Most companies have it. I was blessed to have it on my auto loan, and I didn't know I really had it. It's one of those things where it costs you $10, $15, $25 for the year, and most people don't do it. That's the first thing I would look at, because if you do have a savings, that's beautiful, but why tap into your savings if you have additional resources? The second thing that I would look at is I would sit down with your partner, with your spouse, and I would get crystal clear about your monthly expenses. Now, I'm not saying you can't go out with friends and you can't do things, but most people don't know each month their minimum amount of their bills, right? So when they say, oh, I just want to make $10,000 a month in my business, what if your expenses are 14? Right? Like, what if your true expenses don't match that? So I would get really clear on what is the minimum we need every month to pay our bills, to be able to live comfortably, and then look at the excess stuff and how can you cut that out? I would really look at that. The third thing I would look at is really take a look at your skills, your resume, and get quiet with yourself to say, what is it that I really want to do? Especially those of us that have 5-10 years experience working in corporate America or even more. You're doing something that's a task because they're trading you your value for a percentage of what you're worth. So if you're making 6 figures a year right now, wonderful for you. You're probably worth double that as your own business owner at minimum. So I would get really clear on what is it you want to do. I would take these next 48 hours as if you're cramming for finals in school. If it's 2 days before Thanksgiving and you got to get the house clean before people come over. I mean, I would take it that seriously because it happens all the time. There was an announcement in Finland, I believe, that a technology company is laying off 1,000 people. It happens all over the world. There's reports in Korea. There's 14,000 jobs that have been lost over the past 2 years. In the US, there's reports all the time. So if you think you're in a protected bubble that this can't happen to you, I do not mean to share this message to give you dark days whatsoever, but it can happen to you. And if it hasn't happened to you, if you think about 10 people in your life, you probably know 1 or 2 that it has impacted. So those would be my 3 tips. 1, to get the logistics of, do you have any involuntary insurance on all of your debts? Because you probably do. The second thing is I would get clear on your finances, exactly, because a confused mind cannot make decisions when it comes to money. So you have to be clear on that, because what if it does happen for you and then you're out there in the job market and you're asking for 65 a year, but you really need 85. How are you going to make up the difference? The third thing is get clear. What do you want to do? Because that voice that keeps coming, that message, that idea, that doodling you do in your notebook, that idea, the thing you keep talking to people about, it's planted in you because it's time for you to give birth to it. And that might be your warning of preparing you for what could come in the future.
Oh, so beautiful. So what I want to tell everybody is that there's always a pot of gold at the end of every rainbow. So do not go into freak out mode because it happens all the time. So the key message is I don't want you to think that there's something wrong with you, because there isn't. There's always something better after a breakdown. So a breakdown always, there's always a breakthrough before a breakdown. So if you're going through this, know that the breakthrough is coming. There's nothing wrong with you. Reach out for help, and read and understand, like what she said, like what LaDawn said. Ask yourself, was that an idea bubbling within yourself, and you don't have that gut. So right now it's God kicking your butt to let you know that time is ready. So God's on your side, even though it seems like God is playing a trick on you, or, he's taking, but he's really on your side. If he don't do this, you are not going to do that.
Yes, exactly. That's what happened to me. If it hadn't happened, I could have sat in that comfy job, I'm telling you, for like 5 more years and keep until 2 a.m. on my website. Like, I wasted so many nights doing that. That was the push that I needed. And it doesn't matter if you're an SVP or you're a cashier. If the company needs to stay profitable, you're all on the same line. And it's nothing about you. It's really what that was best for them.
Exactly. So awesome. And I was going to say, I was going to talk about loyalty, because you said you brought something really interesting. Because it's like you put your heart and soul to the company, and when it comes to profit line, you are nothing but just profit and loss. So
you are. There's no loyalty.
It's so cruel.
When you work sick, I remember one of my bosses who I loved so much. I used to work weekends, right? Because when you're salaried, you can work like all the time and it doesn't matter. And so I remember he told me one time, he said, LaDawn, he said, if we're ever no longer here, nobody's going to really care that you worked all day on a Sunday. Your family and friends and your life is more important. And so there are those of us out there, we think the loyalty, we work on vacations, we work while we're sick, we'll work while we're home, we'll work with the baby on the hip, we'll go drop the baby off at daycare, come back to the office, we'll do all of this stuff that doesn't add up in the loyalty bucket because it is a profit or it is a loss at the end of the day. Right. And it's not personal. It's so not personal. And I know for us, it's personal because the emotion we have is because we're tied to the paycheck.
Right.
We have payments. It's like Dave Ramsey says, if you don't have payments, you don't have stress over not having the paycheck. So that's the emotion. And the panic comes in of how am I going to make the payment, the monthly payment, because we don't have a plan B. So I don't care if people will stay working for the next 50 years. You have to have a plan B. It's beautiful if you have 6 to 8 months worth of savings. I mean, true savings where you wouldn't have to shift your monthly expenses or lifestyle at all. Most people do not have that. So you have to be really clear. If you think you can use credit cards, they'll cut your limit. If you think the equity in your home is something you can pull out, and I'm just talking to real adult people right now, then we've seen that before where they cut the equity and you can't withdraw from it. You are your resource. God will give you what you need and he will give you the talents and skills he probably already has. So you are going to be your provision in the time when you need it. Because trust me, I've walked in it. I'm not just talking about this stuff. I've been there and I'm thankful that I've been there, but there is something, the whole reason I think purpose that we're even talking tonight is to give someone a forewarning to say, you have what you need right now to be the provision you need in the future. Awesome.
So where can we find more of your good work?
You can go to my website. It's LaDawnTownsend.com. That's LaDawn, TOWNSEND, and sign up for my newsletter. I'm going through a rebranding right now, which I'm really exciting about, but stay connected with me. You can also follow me on Instagram at LaDawn Townsend or at Facebook, LaDawn Townsend.
Awesome. Thank you, LaDawn, for your time. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, these are the stuff that I love to talk about because it's the pink, I call them the pink elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Like hush, hush. It's painful to talk about it, but yet, you know, I always say we're not some kind of 12th dimension being. We are a human being. So we need to walk through and learn how to be a human being. And this is really an adult. You can be 50, but your financial education, your financial literacy could be like 20. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Because you know, we just have to learn and grow. Alrighty, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in and joining us once again for this beautiful episode, the Startup Celebrity Show. So I'm Elise, and once again, if you are not part of my spiritual community, go ahead and Google, type in on the Facebook bar, that I call it the Google Facebook bar, the Spiritual Entrepreneurs, and you'll see my face and request to join, and we are happy to connect with you. Now it's your turn. If you have found this helpful, leave us a comment and let us know how do you deal with what do you call that? Layoffs. If you get laid off, what would you do? What's the first thing? Did you find LaDawn's tip helpful? Let us know. We would love to hear from you. All right. So enough from us, and now it's your turn. See you soon. Take care. Bye bye.